Dr. Gray stood before the Federation Council, his tall, scaled form casting a long shadow across the glossy floor. His thin lips curled into what humans would call a smirk as he prepared to present his findings about the newly discovered planet Earth. Distinguished council members, he began, tapping his datapad to project a holographic image of Earth. Our long-range scans have revealed a rather amusing discovery. This blue planet, designated as Sol 3 by our charts, harbors what they call humans, essentially hairless apes who have somehow managed to build cities. Laughter rippled through the council chamber. The head counselor, an imposing figure with iridescent scales, leaned forward with interest. Dr. Gray continued, zooming in on various human activities. As you can see, these creatures are physically weak compared to any spacefaring race we've encountered. They lack natural armor, possess no claws, and their muscles are barely strong enough to lift their own young. Most amusingly, they've survived by covering their fragile bodies with artificial materials they call clothes. He displayed more images, humans working in offices, driving cars, and walking in parks. They've achieved a primitive level of technological development, fossil fuels, basic digital systems, and rudimentary space exploration. They've barely reached their own moon, and that was using the most inefficient methods imaginable. The council members exchanged knowing looks. One of them, Council Member Stone, spoke up. Have they detected our presence? No, Dr. Gray replied with a dismissive wave. Their detection systems are laughably basic. We've been observing them for 3 lunar cycles, and they haven't noticed our scout ships once. Their military technology is particularly entertaining. They still use chemical propellants for their weapons. More laughter filled the chamber. Dr. Gray showed footage of human military exercises. Look at how they train for war. Running around on 2 legs, carrying their weapons instead of having them integrated into their bodies like any sensible species. They tire easily, require frequent rest, and need constant water intake. The head counselor raised a scaled hand for silence. What resources does this planet offer? Dr. Gray's eyes gleamed. That's the most interesting part, council leader. Despite their technological inadequacies, these humans have been decent caretakers of their world. The planet is rich in rare minerals, has vast water resources, and maintains a stable atmosphere. It would make an excellent addition to our Federation. After some cleaning up, of course. Cleaning up? Council Member Stone asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. These humans are scattered across the planet in what they call countries, divided by imaginary lines and primitive tribal loyalties. Their population is large but manageable. With our superior technology, we could easily relocate them to designated areas, or perhaps to one of our labor colonies. They might prove useful for simple tasks. The council chamber grew quiet as members considered this proposal. Finally, the head counselor spoke. What resistance could they offer? Dr. Gray pulled up more data. Their most advanced weapons would barely scratch our ship's shields. They have no unified planetary defense system, no energy weapons, and no faster-than-light technology. Their combat doctrine relies heavily on individual soldier initiative rather than proper central control. In short, they're barely more threatening than the livestock they raise for food. The head counselor stood, his decision made. Prepare a detailed invasion plan. We'll send a small observation team first to gather final tactical data. These humans sound like they'll provide some amusing entertainment, if nothing else. Their planet will make a fine addition to our Federation. As the council members filed out, discussing how they would divide Earth's resources, none of them noticed a small alert flashing on Dr. Gray's datapad. It showed an unusual spike in human technological advancement over the past century, a rate of progress that defied the Federation's standard development models. The datapad also contained another overlooked detail. Humans were the only known species to have survived multiple near-extinction events through sheer adaptability. But Dr. Gray had dismissed this as irrelevant. After all, what could a species of hairless apes possibly do against the most advanced civilization in this arm of the galaxy? The Federation was about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous opponent is the one you're laughing at. Captain Stone's observation ship hung silently above Earth, cloaked from human detection systems. The ship's crew watched their screens with a mixture of amusement and boredom as they gathered data for the upcoming invasion. "Look at this, Captain," Officer Green called out, trying not to laugh. "They're showing something they call a science fiction movie on their entertainment networks. They imagine space battles with laser beams and faster-than-light travel." The bridge crew gathered around Green's screen, watching scenes from the latest blockbuster film. They burst into laughter at the human depiction of alien invasions being fought off by brave heroes. "Such childish imagination," Captain Stone said, shaking his head. "They think they could actually fight back against a real spacefaring civilization. They can barely handle their own weather systems." But in a quiet corner of the bridge, Officer Blue sat at his analysis station, his expression troubled. Unlike his colleagues, he wasn't laughing. Instead, he was deep in thought, studying historical records of human conflicts. "Captain," Blue called out hesitantly, "I've noticed something concerning in the data." Stone walked over, his face showing mild irritation at being interrupted during their entertainment. "What is it, Blue? Found more of their amusing warfare techniques?" "No, sir. Look at this pattern." Blue pulled up a series of graphs. In their last major global conflict, humans went from basic propeller aircraft to jet engines in just 6 years. They developed atomic weapons from theoretical physics to practical weapons in under a decade. Stone waved his hand dismissively. "Ancient history. What's your point?" "Sir, their current rate of technological advancement is exponential. They've gone from mechanical computers to quantum computing experiments in less than a century. Their adaptation rate is unlike anything in our records." The captain leaned closer, briefly interested. "Show me their current military capabilities." Blue displayed more data. "Their weapons are primitive, yes, but they're incredibly creative in using them. Look at these recent conflicts. They've turned simple civilian drones into effective weapons. They've developed cyber warfare techniques that are surprisingly sophisticated. And, sir, they fight differently than any species we've encountered." "Different how?" Stone asked, starting to sound annoyed again. "Most species develop military doctrine based on central control and unified strategy. Humans, they emphasize something they call initiative. Their soldiers are trained to think independently, adapt tactics on the spot. It's chaotic, unpredictable." Officer Green interrupted with a laugh. "Are you seriously worried about these primitives, Blue? Have you seen their main battle vehicles? They still run on tracks and wheels." "That's just it," Blue persisted. "They know their technology is behind, but they constantly practice fighting superior forces. Their entertainment isn't just fantasy. It's preparation. They're obsessed with the idea of fighting more advanced enemies." Captain Stone had heard enough. "Officer Blue, you're letting your imagination run wild. These humans are barely more than clever animals. Their cities are unshielded, their weapons use gunpowder, and their space vessels can't even leave their own solar system." "But, sir—" "Enough," Stone cut him off. "Return to your regular duties. We need practical data for the invasion, not wild theories about primitive species." Blue turned back to his station, but he couldn't shake his unease. On his screen, he pulled up more human history. Their conflict showed something that worried him deeply. Humans never fought the same way twice. They constantly evolved their tactics, adapted to new situations, and seemed to perform best when facing overwhelming odds. As the observation ship continued its mission, the rest of the crew kept amusing themselves with human entertainment and behavior. They didn't notice that in the time they'd been watching Earth, humans had developed 3 new weapon systems, improved their AI algorithms twice, and conducted 15 different military exercises, simulating alien invasion scenarios. The Federation was watching Earth, but they were seeing what they wanted to see: a primitive species ripe for conquest. They didn't realize they were watching something far more dangerous: a species that had spent its entire history preparing for this exact moment. The Federation's attack began at dawn. Their ships appeared suddenly in the skies above Earth's major military bases, their silver hulls gleaming in the morning sun. They expected a quick victory. They were wrong. Commander White stood in Earth's Combined Defense Force headquarters, watching as red dots appeared on the global map. The aliens had targeted military installations across the planet, just as humanity had practiced for it in countless drills. "Sir," a young radar operator called out, "they're using some kind of energy shield. Our missiles can't get through." White didn't panic. Instead, he watched the attack pattern carefully. 20 years of preparing for this moment had taught him one thing. Every enemy had a weakness. "Show me their ship movements again," he ordered. On the main screen, the alien vessels moved with perfect precision. Too perfect. White noticed something that made him smile. The aliens were following textbook military patterns, the same ones humans had abandoned decades ago. "They're fighting like machines," White said to his staff. "No creativity, no adaptation. Send the order. Pattern break alpha." Across the globe, human forces switched tactics. Instead of firing directly at the alien ships, they began targeting the ground beneath them with bunker buster bombs. The explosions threw up clouds of dust and debris, forcing the alien vessels to move or lose visual contact. In their ships above, the aliens were confused. This wasn't how planetary conquests were supposed to work. The primitive species should be running in terror, not executing coordinated counterattacks. "What are they doing?" Captain Stone demanded, watching as his perfect formation was broken up by the humans' unexpected tactics. "Their weapons can't hurt us. Why aren't they surrendering?" The answer came in the form of a massive electromagnetic pulse. While the aliens had been focused on the dust clouds, human forces had wheeled out their secret weapon, EMP devices reversed engineered from studying the magnetic fields around their own planet. The pulse hit the alien ships just as they moved to regroup. Their energy shields flickered. It wasn't enough to bring them down, but it created a momentary weakness. That's when the humans launched their real attack. Hidden artillery positions opened fire with special rounds, not trying to destroy the alien ships, but coating them with thick, sticky firefighting foam mixed with metal particles. "Their shields," Officer Blue shouted on the command ship. "The foam is getting through. It's conducting energy across the shield surface, creating feedback loops." The aliens watched in horror as their advanced shields began to overload from the simple combination of foam and metal. It was impossible. It was primitive. It was working. In the command center, White kept pushing the advantage. "Launch Phase 2, he ordered. "Let's show them what happens when you underestimate hairless apes." Across the world, more human surprises were revealed. Civilian communications satellites turned out to be hiding military equipment. Underground bunkers opened to reveal advanced weapon systems. Everything humanity had learned from 2 centuries of near-constant warfare was unleashed at once. The aliens found their perfect formations broken, their communications jammed by countless small transmitters, and their sensors confused by thousands of decoys. It wasn't the technology that was beating them. It was the chaos, the unpredictability, the sheer stubborn refusal to follow the rules of proper warfare. "Impossible," Captain Stone shouted as another of his ships reported shield failures. "They're savages. How are they doing this?" The answer came from Officer Blue, who watched with a mixture of fear and admiration. "They're not fighting by anyone's rules but their own, sir. And they've been practicing this exact scenario for generations." As the first day of combat drew to a close, the Federation forces found themselves in an unthinkable position, retreating from a primitive species that had turned their own technological superiority against them. The humans hadn't just prepared for this fight. They had been looking forward to it. The Hairless Apes were proving that sometimes the most dangerous weapon isn't technology. It's the willingness to throw away the rulebook and do whatever it takes to win. Lieutenant Red studied the holographic display of the alien warship floating above the Pacific Ocean. His small team was hidden in a makeshift underwater base, converted from an old submarine facility. The aliens hadn't bothered to scan deep underwater, another mistake born from their arrogance. Their ship hovers in the same spot every 12 hours, Red explained to his team of 20 soldiers. They think we can't touch them up there. Time to prove them wrong. The team had spent weeks preparing their trap. They modified deep-sea diving equipment with simple but effective improvements. Their weapons were equally simple: harpoon guns loaded with special cables, and backpack generators stolen from alien crash sites. "Remember," Red said, checking his equipment one last time, "we're not trying to destroy the ship. We just need to get inside. Basic physics still works in space. They're about to learn it the hard way." The alien ship arrived right on schedule, its crew confident in their routine patrol. They never noticed the small bubbles rising from the ocean below them. They were too busy laughing at human television signals they were intercepting. "Look at these primitives," one alien crew member said to another. "They're still telling stories about defeating us. How delusional." That's when the first harpoon struck their hull. Then another, and another. 20 cables suddenly attached themselves to the ship's underside, each one carrying a powerful electrical current from the generators. The alien shield system, designed to stop energy weapons and missiles, didn't recognize the simple metal cables as a threat. The electricity surged through the ship's hull, creating a web of energy that confused their sensors. "What's happening?" the alien captain shouted as warning lights flashed across his bridge. "Report." Before anyone could answer, more alarms sounded. The humans weren't just attacking the ship, they were using the cables as climbing ropes. The alien crew watched in disbelief as their external cameras showed humans in diving gear scaling the side of their vessel. "Impossible," the captain yelled. "How are they surviving at this altitude?" The answer was simple: their diving suits had been reinforced and pressurized, turning deep-sea equipment into makeshift spacesuits. It wasn't pretty, and it wouldn't work for long, but it didn't need to. Red led his team to the ship's emergency airlock. The aliens had never imagined someone would try to manually open it from the outside. Why would they? No species had ever attempted something so primitive and dangerous. "Basic engineering," Red muttered as his team attached a simple mechanical winch to the airlock handle. "Even alien ships need emergency systems." The airlock groaned open. Emergency force fields snapped on to prevent decompression, just as Red had guessed they would. No species would build a ship without basic safety systems. Inside the ship, the alien crew panicked. Their advanced weapons were designed for ship-to-ship combat, not close-quarters fighting with primitive humans in modified diving gear. They had never trained for this kind of assault. It hadn't seemed possible. Red's team moved through the ship with practiced efficiency. They had trained for this in underwater facilities, preparing for the day they would board an alien vessel. While the aliens had superior technology, humans had centuries of experience in naval combat and shipboarding actions. "Engineering deck secured," Red reported through his radio. "You're not going to believe this. Their engine control systems have physical emergency shutdowns, just like we hoped." Within an hour, the impossible had happened. A team of humans using modified diving gear, simple electrical cables, and basic mechanical tools had captured an advanced alien warship. The aliens had never considered that their complex technology could be defeated by simple physical solutions. Back on Earth, military commanders received the news with grim satisfaction. The first alien ship had been captured not through superior technology, but through human ingenuity and willingness to try the impossible. The Hairless Apes had just proved that sometimes the simplest solution was the best one. Dr. Black stood in front of the captured alien ship, her eyes shining with excitement. As Earth's leading expert in quantum mechanics, she had waited her whole life for this moment. Behind her, a team of scientists from different fields waited eagerly to begin their work. "Remember," she told her team, These aliens think we're too stupid to understand their technology. Let's prove them wrong. Inside the ship, they found systems that seemed impossibly advanced. But Dr. Black noticed something interesting. The aliens had stopped innovating. Their technology was perfect, but it hadn't changed in centuries. They had found what worked and never questioned if it could work better. "Look at this engine," she said, pointing to the alien power core. "They're using quantum fields for energy, but they're only using them one way. They never thought to combine them with other technologies." The captured alien captain watched in horror as the humans swarmed over his ship's systems. These primitives weren't supposed to understand any of this. But not only did they understand it, they were asking questions the Federation hadn't asked in generations. "What if we combine their quantum field with our nuclear fusion?" one scientist suggested. "Why do they only use their shields to block things?" Another wondered, "Couldn't we make them do more?" Dr. Black moved from station to station, her mind racing with possibilities. The aliens had built incredible technology, but they used it in simple ways. Humans, used to making do with less, saw possibilities the aliens had never imagined. "Their computer systems are amazing," a young programmer said, "but they're too perfect. They've never had to deal with hackers or viruses. They're not ready for chaos." The alien captain watched as Dr. Black drew diagrams on a whiteboard, combining Federation technology with human ideas in ways that should have been impossible. These primitives weren't just copying the technology. They were improving it. "Your shields are good," Dr. Black explained to the shocked captain, "but they only work one way, stopping things from coming in. We're going to make them work both ways. Imagine a shield that can also be a weapon." Within weeks, the first hybrid human-alien technology emerged. They built a prototype ship that combined Federation quantum fields with human nuclear power, creating an engine more powerful than anything the aliens had. The shields were modified to not just defend, but to project energy outward as weapons. Impossible. The alien captain protested when he saw the test results. "You can't use technology that way." "Why not?" Dr. Black asked with a smile. "Because no one ever tried. That's the problem with thinking you're perfect. You stop looking for better ways." The Federation's worst nightmare was coming true. Not only had humans understood their technology, but they were also doing things with it that the aliens had never considered. They weren't bound by centuries of proper ways to use the technology. They experimented, combined different systems, and weren't afraid to fail. "We've cracked their communication systems too," a communications expert reported. "They never expected anyone to try hacking them. They've got no protection against computer viruses." Dr. Black submitted her final report to Earth's military command. The humans didn't just understand alien technology. They had surpassed it in several ways. The Federation's perfect, unchanging systems were about to meet human chaos and creativity. "The aliens think technology has to be perfect," she wrote in her report. "We know better. Sometimes the best solutions are messy, unexpected, and break all the rules. They might have better technology, but we know how to use it better." The Federation was about to learn a harsh lesson. Giving humans access to advanced technology was like giving a child a new toy. They would immediately start thinking of ways to use it that the creators had never imagined. The Hairless Apes weren't just learning. They were innovating. Admiral Green watched from the bridge of Earth's first hybrid warship, the Thunder. The ship looked ugly compared to the Federation's sleek vessels, a combination of human and alien technology that broke every rule of proper engineering. But that was exactly why it would work. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his communications officer said. "The Federation fleet has no idea we're here." The human counterattack force was hiding behind Mars, their ships running silent. They had taken Federation technology and modified it in ways the aliens never imagined. Their engines combined alien quantum fields with human nuclear power. Their shields could turn into weapons. Their computers ran on unpredictable human programming that alien systems couldn't understand. "Send the signal," Green ordered. "Let's show them what these hairless apes can really do." The attack began with something the Federation had never seen before: a computer virus. While the aliens were busy laughing at human technology, Earth's best hackers had been studying their systems. The virus spread through the Federation's perfect, unprotected networks like wildfire. "Their ships are losing power," the tactical officer reported with a grin. They never thought they'd need protection against primitive human hacking. The Federation fleet commanders watched in horror as their perfect systems began to fail. Their ship's computers, designed for efficiency, had no defense against the chaos of human programming. Warning messages appeared in alien language: error, unexpected human innovation. Green waited until the confusion was at its peak before giving his next order: launch the hybrid missiles. These weren't normal weapons. They combined Federation quantum technology with old human nuclear warheads. The alien shields, designed to stop pure energy weapons, didn't know how to handle this mix of technologies. The missiles punched through their defenses like they weren't even there. "Impossible," the Federation fleet commander shouted as explosions rocked his ships. "Their weapons are an abomination. They're mixing technologies that should never work together." But they did work. The human fleet emerged from behind Mars, their ugly hybrid ships charging straight at the enemy. They didn't fight like the Federation expected. Instead of proper formation, each human ship acted independently, using tactics that seemed random and chaotic. "They're not following any known combat doctrine," a Federation officer reported, panic in his voice. "We can't predict what they'll do next." That was exactly the point. Humans had learned early in their history that the best way to win a fight was to be unpredictable. While Federation ships tried to maintain perfect formations, human vessels darted around like angry wasps, striking from unexpected angles. Green smiled as another Federation ship fell to their attacks. "Send in the boarding teams." Special Forces teams, wearing improved versions of the diving suits that had worked so well before, launched from the human ships. The Federation crews, trained to fight proper ship-to-ship battles, had no defense against humans who cut their way through hulls and fought hand-to-hand in corridors. "This isn't how space combat is supposed to work," the Federation commander protested as reports of boarding actions came in from his fleet. But humans didn't care how things were supposed to work. They cared about what worked: their hybrid ships, their mixed technology, their unpredictable tactics. Everything that the Federation saw as wrong was exactly what made humans dangerous. As the battle reached its peak, Admiral Green sent a message to all Federation ships: "You thought we were primitive because we didn't follow your rules. But that's exactly why we're winning. We never learned there were rules to break." The Federation fleet, for the first time in centuries, was forced to retreat. They had come expecting to fight primitives. Instead, they had found a species that took their perfect technology and turned it into something new, something that didn't follow the rules, something they couldn't predict or counter. The Hairless Apes had proven that sometimes the best way to win wasn't to be the most advanced, it was to be the most creative. The Great Hall of the Federation Council looked very different now. Gone were the laughing, relaxed council members who had once mocked humanity. Instead, worried faces filled the chamber as Dr. Gray, the same scientist who had first dismissed humans as hairless apes, stood before them again. "Distinguished Council," he began, his voice humble now, "I stand before you to correct my greatest mistake. I was wrong about humans. We all were." The head counselor, no longer looking so proud, nodded for him to continue. On screens around the chamber, images showed the aftermath of the human counterattack. Federation ships lay damaged or captured. Their perfect technology had been changed and improved in ways they never imagined possible. "These humans," Dr. Gray continued, "aren't primitive at all. They're different. While we perfected our technology and stopped looking for new ways to use it, they never stopped experimenting. While we followed rules, they asked why the rules existed. Admiral Green and Dr. Black sat in the audience, representing Earth at this historic meeting. They watched as Dr. Gray showed the Council everything humans had done with Federation technology in just a few months. "Look at how they modified our quantum engines," he said, pointing to diagrams. "We spent centuries making them perfect. Humans asked why they couldn't be better. We built shields to protect. They turned shields into weapons. We made computers that never failed. They made computers that could adapt and change." The Council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Everything they believed about proper technological development had been proven wrong. "But most importantly," Dr. Gray said, "we learned that technology isn't everything. Humans showed us that creativity, adaptability, and even chaos can be stronger than perfection." Dr. Black stood up then, walking to join Dr. Gray at the speaker's platform. The two scientists, human and alien, stood together, a sight that would have seemed impossible just months ago. "We don't want to be your enemies," she said to the Council. "Humans have dreamed of meeting alien life for centuries. We want to be your allies, your friends, but we must be treated as equals." The head counselor rose slowly. "The Federation has existed for 10,000 years," he said. "In all that time, we never lost a war. We never had to change. Humans taught us that never changing means never growing." Admiral Green joined them next, his uniform showing both Federation and Earth symbols. "Your technology combined with human creativity," he said. "Your stability combined with our drive to improve. Think what we could accomplish together." The Council chamber was quiet for a long moment. Then the head counselor did something unprecedented. He walked down from his high seat to stand at the same level as the humans. "The Federation officially recognizes humanity not just as equals, but as teachers," he announced. "You've shown us that true advancement comes not from achieving perfection, but from never stopping to question, to improve, to imagine new possibilities." Dr. Gray smiled at his human colleagues. "We called you Hairless Apes and thought you were primitive because you weren't like us. Now we understand. Being different is your greatest strength." The peace treaty was signed that day. Humans would join the Federation not as conquered subjects, but as full partners. Their ships would still look strange to alien eyes, their methods would still seem chaotic, but no one would laugh at them anymore. As the ceremony ended, Dr. Black turned to Dr. Gray. "What made you change your mind about us?" she asked. The alien scientist looked at the hybrid technology around them, the impossible combinations of human and Federation science that had changed everything. "You taught us that the most advanced civilization isn't the one with the best technology," he said. "It's the one that never stops learning, never stops trying new things, and never believes it knows everything." The Hairless Apes had earned their place among the stars not by following the path of other species, but by blazing their own trail. And in doing so, they had taught the entire galaxy a valuable lesson. True strength lies not in being perfect, but in never being afraid to change.